Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is very good. And I was messaging earlier. Jonathan sent a message. The video that I did about short sessions, like, having the motivation to start usually means that something happens, or learning to do things in small bits and pieces is important. And we chat. I messaged back saying something like, often the wisdom that I constantly have to relearn is just like doing the thing. Put yourself in the place, and the thing will happen. And it's true, and it's something that I have to relearn every time, and I don't know why. Well, I kind of do. Yesterday, I watched a podcast. I listened to a podcast, whatever. Theo Vaughn. If you've never listened to his podcast, it's called This Past Weekend. He's a comedian and he's hilarious, and he's been doing more like serious interview type podcasts, like a couple of hours with a pretty serious guest. And he says, like, he tries to keep it light and funny, and he does a very good job of it. But yesterday he had on Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins is like one of those motivational gurus that has transformed companies and what I don't know. He's done everything ever. He's amazing, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know his stuff. I don't follow him, whatever. But he was talking about getting in the flow mindset and whatever. And one of the recommended videos in the feed, I was like, oh, let me check this out. So I got a little. I didn't get. Actually, I got zero inspiration from listening to Tim Robbins for 2 hours. Whatever it is fine. But the next video I clicked on was, I don't remember the guy's name. He's the guy who wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I don't remember his name. But he had this video where he was just like, you just have to do it. And he took this lady who, she had a goal. She wanted to start her own company, blah, blah, blah. And instead of doing that, she spent 9 months like writing business proposals and researching markets and what. And he was like, throw that all away. Let's just do it. And so he took her to like a CrossFit gym, tied a sled to her, and was like, you're either going to start your company or you're going to drag this sled until you pass out. And she was like, well, I guess I'll start my company. And in like 5 or 6 weeks, she had her company up and running. And it was just a matter of like, just do the thing. And in that video, he talked to good. If I remember, I'll link it. I doubt I'll remember. If somebody remind me, I'll try. It was a very interesting video. I don't necessarily agree with his not giving it, like, whatever. The fun part about his video, I think I watched one more of his. Is he kind of makes fun of the whole self-help genre. He's like, it's all BS. It's all the same crap that's been taught for thousands of years, but people have to rehear it, or they have to learn it in their own. It has to be repackaged for that person at that moment in their life. And but the thing that one driving thing that I know deep down inside is, if I just start, I'll do it. Like, I'll be in it. And talking to Jonathan about, like, he said he needs to get down to his shop and do little things so that he can get the shop turned back into a place he wants to spend time in. Yes, just do it. And the advice that I would say is, like, go just stand in your shop and be bored. Like, don't take your phone, don't take anything to entertain, just stand there. And eventually you'll start doing something, because you'll just get bored, and magic happens when you get bored. That's like the secret time. And I have to constantly remind myself of that. I have to constantly say, let's go be bored in the environment of whatever it is I'm trying to do. When I come down here, so I've got this gift box that I'm going to be making shortly for a friend, and I've been mulling it over in my head for a little while because I wasn't quite sure how to work on it. So I just came down here and started doing stuff. I started hanging up and building new tool holders, redoing the whatever, just cleaning. And as I did that, ideas started happening. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. And I now have a very clear picture of how to tackle that project. So just being in this space gave me the headspace to now attempt the task. Will it succeed? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it, and if it fails, I'll do it again, and we'll try it a different way. Something will happen. When it fails, here's the secret. If I try what I came up with the other day, and it fails, well, now I have learned this isn't the way, and very likely will be able to use that failure to diagnose a better way and figure it out from there. And so, I'm writing this book right now, and I'm about 2 chapters in. I've written a little over 4,000 words. I've been sticking pretty close to 500 words a day. Just seems to be about what I feel comfortable with. And it, I hit a rough spot because I realized I was just I was writing and I hit, like, I didn't know how to move the story forward at this particular juncture. So I just started kind of filling in all this stuff that doesn't need to be there. And though I was not into it in that moment, I was going through the motion and I was seeing, okay, this isn't working. I don't know why it's not working. Let me just continue doing it and I'll figure it out. And so I kept writing and I kept writing and I kept continuing in the vein of, I basically wrote a couple thousand words that just aren't really useful. They're useful later in the book. I'll pepper them in as we go, right? The story will fill itself in. I don't need to fill you in up front. I'll fill you in later. We'll do it in pieces. But I just kept going anyway. I just kept writing and writing and writing. And as that was happening, I started developing ideas because I don't have the end of this book. I know Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I know what needs to, big picture, this is the downfall, this is the struggle, this is the success. But I don't have the details. What does that success look like? What does he actually have to do or say? Or who does he have to have on his side? Or what information does he need to learn first? I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get there, kind of thing. And having those unknowns, my brain wants to ruminate on them and go, well, I can't proceed forward until I know the next step. Bullshit. Just start. And so I just kept going along that same path that I knew was wrong, but I'll fix it later. And suddenly started, oh. Thinking about part of the reason that I didn't like this whole section of the book I'm working on is because it doesn't feel correct for the character. It doesn't feel correct for the situation. It feels forced. It feels like me, the author, is trying to just jam information into you, the reader, not this character having a normal interaction in his life. And I'd rather this character have a normal interaction. And so as I was forcing myself to just continue this plot, I went, oh, this is how I can turn this into a normal interaction. This is how I can now transition to the next phase. I need to go back in the beginning and add a chunk of more stuff because I kind of skipped some stuff that is necessary. And I could have stopped writing and thought about how to get out of this problem and then, not resumed writing until I had a clear answer. I don't think I would have ever had a clear answer. I think that's the secret to why I've never finished anything I've started when it comes to writing, is because I don't have a clear answer. I don't know the way forward. Now, in my notes, I now have the next 3 scenes plotted out. I know exactly where I need to go from here. I know how I'm going to get there. Now I just have to sit down and do the work. And it's only because I decided to do the part that I knew was wrong, just continue with it until it sorts itself out. And it did. It sorted itself out. I'm very confident in that. So just do the thing, like whatever it is. That's the secret. Just it's a secret that I constantly relearn, and it frustrates me every time. And I think that the not given enough guy, he said something like, "This is the problem that intelligence has. Is intelligence knows too much. Intelligence knows that this isn't going to work, and so instead of just trying anyway, we'll just sit and talk about it, and never learn anything from our failures. And learning from the failures is the important part." That's where we're headed. So, I guess a little book update. I have been sticking to 500 words a day. Not that I have that as a goal. It's just that's how it's worked out. And that means that I would expect to have... I think this is going to come in at like around 50,000 words. It'll be close. It'll be like between 35 and 45, 35 and 50. It'll be somewhere. It's not going to be a huge book. It's going to be a smaller book. But if I can continue, that means in a couple of months I'll have the first draft done. And then I can revise quickly and then get people reading it so that I can work on it while I figure out titles and I figure out art and layout and figure out how to get it formatted for publishing and all that sort of stuff. And then revise and do a couple rounds of that before I hit go. We'll see. It's the goal. It's what's going to happen. Yeah. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is tenuous. It is an adjective meaning unsubstantiated and weak. Roland's arguments to prove to us that it's better to give them than to receive were tenuous at best. Tenuous. Tenuous. Can it also mean like, I guess weak? It's not necessarily. It could be like a structure could be tenuously built. Correct? Am I crazy about that?